Hi there, this is Dawn McVeigh with Make It Monday. Today I've got a project to share with you using multiple dies to create frames for your projects. You probably already have dies right in your own stash that are perfect for this particular project. I've gone ahead and die cut a few frames just to show you kind of what you can do before we get started. This first frame I created using one of the larger Limitless Layers 2.5 inch circle dies, that pretty flower shape, with the 1 3/4 inch circle from the smaller set as the center. And then I went ahead and did the same thing with a Doily Details die, and I used that exact same 1 3/4 inch circle to cut out the center of the frame. So you can see that there's right there some circle frames you can do. You also could use any of your matte stacks. Here's a Matte Stack 1 die for the outside of the frame, and the center is another one of those 1 3/4 inch Limitless Layers dies. You can also use the fillable frames for this technique. You probably have quite a few in your stash that would work. So for today's project, let's go ahead and get started. I've got the Matte Stack 4 die, and I've die cut some Raspberry Fizz cardstock. Here's another one of those Limitless Layers 1 3/4 inch circle dies. This is the scallops. I'm going to line that up face down on the front of the die cut, and then I'll turn it over and run it through the die cutting machine. For purposes of time, I've gone ahead and done that, and you can see that you not only have that cute little scallop circle to use on another project, but now I've also got the frame to use for my card today. I also used that same Matte Stack 4 die to die cut some Rustic Cream cardstock, and that is where I'm going to stamp the sentiment for the card. I've got a really pretty little sentiment here from the Half and Half stamp set. I love this stamp set. And I want to go ahead and ink up that sentiment with some Pure Poppy ink. I want to make sure everything is lined up nice and straight, so I'm going to use those lines on the paper that I'm stamping on to help make sure that everything's lined up just right. So there you can see it's nice and straight. Everything's lined up just the way I want it. So now I'm going to grab some small foam adhesive squares and just put those on the back side of the frame. These are great little foam adhesive squares. I bought a package that has small and large at Michael's in their adhesive section. I've really been pleased with them. Just peel off those paper backings, and now you can line the frame up right over the top of that die cut. Having the back layer the same shape as the front layer makes it really easy to get it lined up just exactly the way it was when you stamped it without any guesswork. So there you go, there's the front and the back. Now I've got some Berry Sorbet cardstock that I've gone ahead and cut and scored to create a standard A2 size card. The front of the card is 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2, and I've got some Damask Designs pattern paper here and my Heidi Swapp edge distresser. I've had this thing forever, and every now and then it's just the perfect thing to pull out and use. I wanted to rough up two sides of this pattern paper, and the reason I wanted to do that is because it's got white on the back of the paper, and I know that when I rough up the edges, that white is going to show on the front side. And I want that white to help the pattern paper sort of pop off the front of the card just a bit. Otherwise it kind of blends in with that Berry Sorbet cardstock a little more than I wanted it to. And don't worry if when you're roughing this paper up, if you tear it a little bit, that just sort of adds to the distressing. Once we put it on the card front, you won't even notice it. So now we'll just put some adhesive on the back. And just be careful around my little torn corner. And it's ready to go right on the card front. You can go back over with your finger and just make sure those edges are roughed up just like you want them. Now I've got a strip of just vintage book print. It's just paper out of an old book that I cut and adhered to the card front. And now I've got a bit of berry sorbet ribbon. This is the classic Grosgrain. Papertrey's Grosgrain ribbon is my absolute favorite. I'm going to fold it in half and snip a little kind of a little arrow shape into the ribbon. And I'm going to go ahead and just lay it on the card front here so I can get a feel for exactly how long I need the ribbon to be. I don't like to waste it if I can keep from it, so this helps me to see just exactly how long it is and there's no waste in the end. Now I'll use a little bit of score tape on the end of the back end of the ribbon. Remember, score tape, you don't have to cut it with scissors, you can just tear it, so it makes it pretty quick and painless to use on your projects. We'll just peel off that paper backing. And again, I'm just going to kind of do this part over the front of the card so I can kind of eyeball exactly how long that loop needs to be so that the strip ends up exactly where I want it. We'll just press the ends together and that way we get a little loop at the top. And another strip of score tape across the back of the ribbon will secure the ribbon directly to the card. Now I've got some of those big foam adhesive squares I was telling you about. Just put a few of those on the back and again remove that paper backing and it's ready to go right on the card front. Now for one last little detail, I've got my jar of Pure Poppy buttons. I'm going to find the perfect little button for this project. Isn't that half the fun? Sorting through the buttons to find just the right one for your project. My mom used to have a big button basket when I was a kid and I loved going through those buttons and playing with them. So now I just want to thread that button with a little bit of Pure Poppy Baker's twine and a little more score tape on the back of the button, and I'm going to secure that button right to the loop at the top of the ribbon. Just trim off a little bit of the excess twine, and there you have it. Cute little frame that we've used on our card. Is so easy. If you would like to play along, we'd love to see your take on this week's challenge. Pull out those dies and see what kind of frames you can create. Be sure and head over to Nicole Hetty's blog where you can add the link to your project. We would love to see what you make. This has been Dawn McVeigh for Make It Monday. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.